By looking at those statistics, the cryptocurrency space looks like this: young, male, and white. But one group appears to be missing: African Americans.
Look, it's an education site. It's for anyone. We welcome anyone, but I wanted to put a primary emphasis on Black people because not only am I African American, but also there is, even today with all the hype surrounding Bitcoin, there still is a dearth of knowledge about Bitcoin or a dearth of promotion about Bitcoin in our circles.
Cryptocurrency is a medium of exchange just like the US dollar, but it uses cryptography, which is the art of writing or solving codes for security purposes. Simply put, it's digital money. But how does it work?
Because you can send money person to person without, a real intermediary holding your money that you have to trust. Right now, any kind of payment form you use requires a degree of trust with a third party, whether it's using Visa, whether it's using a bank, outside of straight cash homie, you have to trust that someone, is not going to take off your money or disappear it.
Cryptocurrency operates solely independent of the central banking system. The FDIC found that African Americans hold the largest percent of unbanked households with roughly 18%. A distrust in banks has a lot to do with that percentage, according to the report. Could it be that distrust has carried over into the cryptocurrency space?
And there's so many middle people between you and whoever you're trying to receive it. And Bitcoin became a real great way of taking out the middle person and allowing peer-to-peer transactions to take place, which is super huge. Up until this point, you either have to have a bank account, you got to have ATM, you got to go through someone else, Western Union.
Some form of a money changer.
Right.
I'm just putting it in different language.
So now with Bitcoin, you no longer have to do that. You have sovereignty. And I think one of the things that we need as a people is more sovereignty, more control over our lives. So this is a tool. It's, again, I think with the skepticism, I think it's fair. It's neither good or bad. It can
just
hurt.
An option.
It's just an option. It's just a tool. It can be used to recolonize us, or it can be used to decolonize our lives. But it's not something. It's not absolute. Right. But that's why we need to get more Black folks as makers, not just users.
Regardless of the skepticism towards cryptocurrency, there are still plenty of people that not only use it, but advocate its use.
I think it's important for Black people to take a risk. I know, when you live in a society that's rife with racism and rife with economic inequalities, taking a risk seems like a luxury that Black people or the disadvantaged can't afford. But honestly, we can't afford to be behind the times. We really need to say, hey, if we want to get to the next level, we're going to have to create lives where risk is something that we implement, and we take the good with the bad, and we do our research.
But with advocacy comes naysayers. Should comments from people like JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon be ignored?
Well, I'm a great example. I got into Bitcoin at $88 each just 4 years ago. It's now worth almost $4,000 each. And to be honest with you, it's not stopping there. Don't listen to the hedge fund haters, the gold bugs, those people who are all trying to dissuade you off that. Not only because they're already rich, but also they've got a vested interest in the status quo.
He's funny. He says this, but yet his company is still selling Bitcoin products. That's another issue in itself. I do see perhaps a correction, especially with ICOs. There's a lot of enthusiasm that matches the internet bubble in 1999. Just because there was a bubble doesn't mean a technology is not important. Just like the housing crisis. Just because there was a problem with the market doesn't mean houses aren't useful. So I think that's the same for Bitcoin. I think there is a need to be able to transfer money in a way that's fast and convenient, just like email. I think there's a need for blockchains where you can have information where everyone can see and where no one can actually erase that information. So I think this technology is here to stay. Will there be some tiers? Probably, especially in the ICO side of blockchain.
Could the cryptocurrency user demographic become more diverse if there was an ICO that's geared specifically toward the African American community? Apparently, there is one. It's called GuapCoin, and it plans to recycle wealth back into the Black community.
See, my whole thing is, with this whole Buy Black movement, this penetrates our relationship with money and how we value ourselves and what we spend and how we value the community. All of that is tied in together, but it's a psychological effort because it not only takes education, it takes practice, So for us, Guap is a way that we can fully implement something into practice that can be used. And in use, that will help change our spending patterns and help change our patterns in general and our relationship with money overall.
There are plenty of ways to get involved with cryptocurrency. Attending meetups and reading white papers are just a start. Even YouTube has numerous tutorials and information on the topic.
We just want people to know that WAP is a movement. Like, it's a movement. This is really a movement. And, this is like an economic movement. We have political movements, but we need an economic movement. We need something that is going to stir us economically and get us, functioning and competitive in the world market, and not only that, increase our own value and self-worth and be able to support our communities so that they don't disappear off the map.